Hello everyone, this is Mark from SineWave, and today we're going to go over Net Cloud Manager and go over just a really quick overview of NCM or Net Cloud Manager. We go over a lot over Cradlepoint products, at least here in the beginning. We do get a lot of questions on how to do different things, and so that's kind of our focus, at least for now. And with that, let's get started. When you log in, this is what you'll be presented with. This is your devices dashboard. This is your individual device dashboard. There's a bunch of things you can do in here. If you select a device configuration, we can look at the summary. This will break down what is a group config versus what is a device level config. As you can see here, most of our stuff is at the device level or the group level. Some stuff at the device level, again, by these different group colors. So individual is device level. And so we can get an idea of what our configuration is. We can also just want to look at, maybe just look at the group level, and then we can click on that. Look at the individual level, and then click on this. Version history is awesome. So now I can see different versions, previous version versus my updated version, who made that change, when they made that change. This is really good when you're doing some troubleshooting. So just know, let me back up real quick. Just know that any group level change you make is applied to a group of routers. It's a way we can push a single config down to a multitude of routers. And the idea is to make it easier to configure devices, but then knowing you're going to have to change a few things per device, you go back into devices and you make those small incremental changes. And then, so the hierarchy, if you will, is anything you make in groups can be overridden by the device configuration. Let me show you a good example of that. If we go down here and look down in this section here, notice I have a password, and my password has been done on the individual config as well as the group config. Now they are the same. However, if they weren't the same, whatever I put here gets preempted by what I put here. In other words, whatever I put in my group config, in this case the password, is overridden by the individual or device level configuration, which is important because, again, if we're doing group config and we put a LAN IP address on 192.168.0.1, well, I don't want to push that out to all 80 of my routers. So instead, I go back into devices and I change the IP address to something else for that particular device. So if you looked in this configuration, you would see 192.168.0.1 in the group, but then you would see your new IP address on the individual side. And just know that individual configuration takes precedence. So that's what it's going to go with. So just be mindful of that when you're making your configuration changes, what you did where, and this is a great way to kind of see that. What configuration did you do and where did you do it at? We can also get data usage by WAN. You're not going to see a lot in mine because they haven't been up that much. I haven't used them a ton. Also, this defaults to last 7 days, so we can go back to 30 days here and get another look at that. Different clients that you had on there, different type of, again, it goes back to the last 7 days here. You can see really nothing on there. We can go back 30 days again, just like the last one. Traffic. This will be categories again, the last 7 days. I might not add any much at all going across this, no, not the 1900. Different applications again. Also, this will have what will play an effect of this is your license type too. So some of these things, this device here has an essentials license, so some things won't have any data to show you because I'm only running the essentials license. Health, give us some dummy lights here. Uptime, cellular health. This is also good. It shouldn't have anything, well, maybe the last 30 days. I think this is also an advanced feature, if I recall. or no, here we go, spotty. So I've been doing a lot of testing on Starlink as well, so that's probably why these aren't showing up. Security features, what's allowed, blocked, intrusions. Now I do not have, again, this is on an advanced license, not on essentials license. Extensibility, we can add our SDKs in here, and of course our troubleshooting. This is a great one. We can do speed test. It'll have a drop down here, so now we can say we want to do a speed test on our cellular side, or we can do a speed test on our Ethernet sides hooked to Starlink, and then run a speed test, give you some history here. Remote connection, we can do remote in and out of band management, device UI, ping, trace route, and so forth. Groups, actually let's go back to devices real quick. What I want to show here is there's a clear function. Clear is to remove the entire config from your device. If you have to do this, which there may be times you do, and oftentimes if you get into a sticking point, sometimes it's really good to clear it out if you did a whole bunch of different configurations. But when you do this, notice I have mine in a group. If I clear this out, it's going to clear the configuration from this device, and once it comes back online, it's going to immediately pull the configuration from this group. So what you should do is move this device back into your main account and then clear it. We also can take this configuration and whatever's on here, I can then copy this to an entire group. So I can copy it and hit OK, and it's immediately there, which is great. Now I got the group and indie config, and I can push it over to a group. Now that's important because it's for a lot of different reasons. It's very useful, but one thing you can use it for is maybe you have a config on here that's it's causing issues, you're having problems, and you don't necessarily want to like lose that config. We can push it to a group, like a test group, and just store it there. But we can also download it or export that JSON file. Either way, and then we can import it back in again when we need it. Turn on location services. What type of location services? And we can see some security and other analytics here. And then we can do a reboot from here, unregister, ping, trace route, a lot of these things here that's in remote connect as well. Understand that if you want to do any remote connect, we have to pull this cog out and make sure it's enabled. We can also enable client analytics and secure web filter from there too. The other thing you can do is if you click on these columns here, we can add a whole bunch of columns that we want to show or display up here. There's a whole bunch of them you can select. Very useful. We can also move these around and put them in the order of what we want them to be in as we find more friendly. And then groups, again, like I said, this is where you'll create your group or your shell, if you will, and we can start configuring it just like we do in devices, and then we can simply move those devices into these groups to adopt that configuration. Summary the same way, but understand this is a summary only of the group. It doesn't show you the indie config. And let's see, we can also clear a group and then import and export these group configs as well. This is also where we'll do our NCOS updates. So we can have an update here if we want to select it and run it now or schedule it. We can also schedule that for a proper date. And then if we go into settings, we can see we want to do different reporting. Captive modem, we don't do captive modem. If you need help with that, let us know. Location tracking, distance, we can turn these security on, GPIO on. Networks is for when you get into NCX. That's a whole different topic. We won't cover that today. Alerts and logs, great place to set up alerts and logs. I would suggest everybody set up alert and log at a minimum of the subscriptions so you don't get caught blindsided. I set mine up. I actually got let me go back to dashboard. I want to show you, I've gotten actually let's go to home. I got an alert. and it did send it to emailed me right here, but we can see it. It's also listed here. Had some failover events, and even shows me my modem software updates available. If I click on this, it'll tell me this is what's available. Very, very useful. Which then reminds me what I should have showed you in groups, which we have a video on this. In groups, this is where we can go and do our modem updates in here. But watch that video if you have any questions on that. So alerts and logs is great. Automate this, automate it, automate the alerts and logs. It'll send it to you however you program it, whatever you want to see, basically. There is different logs I would like to see, but they're not there yet. They're constantly working on them. So over time, they've been adding more and more features to that. The same thing with insights. So this insights and alerts and logs is a great way to set up your automation to automatically email you whatever information you're looking for, right? So we can see I have one I set up for WAN usage. It'll send it to those that are on my account or whomever I selected on my account. But we can see we have a lot of different tabs here, a few different tabs that we can get alerts and logs or insights in this instance sent to us. And we can have it sent on, once a month, once a week, every day. It's really up to you. But very, very useful. I think also subscriptions is another one I'd have emailed at least to my procurements people so they can track that. And then tools, this is where we can add our SDKs, or APIs or containers, and integrations. Just that. These are different integrations that Cradlepoint has. CloudShark, Palo Alto, just a lot of different features we can add to it or add richness to the platform. And then accounts, we have a video over this, but again, I would highly recommend it. If you haven't seen accounts, you should watch that if you just don't know how to set up your account and how to properly manage it. It's one thing to have, you're a user, like you see me here, just one user. You'd want to add your backup role. Again, I go over this in the video, take a look at it, and this is a real topic on its own. But subscriptions, we also mentioned that video, is a very good visibility into your network. So you can see there's a lot of places we can get a lot of the same information. It just depends on how you want to consume it. Marketplace, this is where we can buy, if we want to, our licenses or our renewals. You can also contact the partner you bought your Cradlepoint through to have this renewal set up. And lastly, we're going to go over resources. This is an amazing tab. So Cradlepoint is a subscription base, which a lot of people hate. I get it. I do too. But it comes with a lot of different features. So one feature is it's a limited lifetime support for the device. And so nobody else has that. So if you have this router 10 years from now and it dies on you, well, they'll replace it. As long as you have a subscription to NetCloud Manager, that's the key. If your subscription is current, then it's completely warranted for life. Knowledge base, this is awesome. This takes you to their knowledge base that you can just type in whatever you want to see and figure out how to do. VPN, EIGRP, DMVPN, OSPF, RIP if you're still using that. Anything in NCM, it'll go over. So it's an awesome tool. Technical support, you can go and do chat through a web UI, or you can call them, gives you a number here. Open cases, you can create a case. There's a lot of different features that they have to be in contact with an engineer. I would say call them. That's my preferred method is call them. Training, you can get actual formal Cradlepoint training through their self-paced guide. Very good training. Goes from very basic stuff to very complicated things. And of course, forums and then product information. Product information is going to take you back to their webpage where it has, all their products that they support and they have. Hopefully this has been a little bit informative for you. This is a little bit of a longer one, but if you have any questions, reach out, support@sinewave.io or mark@sinewave.io. Thank you.